to another video. Today I'm coming from you from my living room. This is my reading chair. This is my reading nook. This is my dog. Today I'm bringing to you guys kind of more of a vlog style video, I guess, because something occurred to me recently. If you don't know, I'm on Goodreads. You can look me up there. My name is Jenna Van Mourik, blah, 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 blah. But I recently started hosting a book club on Goodreads. It's called the Biblical Fiction Buffs. You can join it now. Recently, I started a book club on Goodreads called the Biblical Fiction Buffs. It is an online quarterly book club where we discuss biblical fiction, all things biblical fiction, and then once per season, so fall, winter, spring, and summer, we choose a book to read together as a group, and we have lots of fun discussions about it, don't we, Piper? Yes, you're very cute. Since I've started that book club, I've actually become pretty active on Goodreads. And if you don't know this about me, I used to not really be a fan of Goodreads, mainly because I'm not the type of person who tracks my reading. I find it very hard to implement Goodreads usage into like when I'm reading, so I'm always forgetting to add books as I read them, or add books to my TBR, or remove books from my TBR that I've already read. But since I've gotten kind of more into Goodreads lately due to my book club, I wanted to go ahead and buff up my Goodreads profile, because currently there are only 100 books on my Goodreads page. 107 books. And if you know me, then you know I've read a lot more than 107 books. And so I wanted to go through as best as I possibly could, like every single book I own, not nonfiction, because behind me, this whole shelf here is nonfiction, and I don't read nonfiction as much as I should, so I don't really feel the need to categorize it in my reading. I want to go through and categorize all my Christian fiction, all of that into Goodreads. So basically this is kind of like a bookshelf organization video, except it's my digital shelf organization video, because I'm going to be organizing my bookshelves digitally through Goodreads. So Goodreads has this feature on the app, on the mobile app, and it's the search feature, or sorry, the scan feature. What am I saying? And basically the scan feature allows you to scan a book, whether you're scanning the cover or the ISBN number on the back. And then once you scan a book, it goes into your scanned books folder, and then you can add those scanned books to a shelf. So I have a shelf that I've just created. My phone's being slow as usual. And see all 5 bookshelves, and that shelf is going to be need to organize. So under the need to organize shelf, I'm going to be categorizing all of my books. I'm going to add all my scanned books to that shelf, and then I'm going to go onto my computer and try to add dates read, because for all the ones that I've already read, I want to do my best to kind of guess an approximation of when I read it, so that I can kind of see my life in books, if you will. Because some of these I know I can track based on when I purchased them on Amazon, like approximately what time of year I read them. So my dates read, for the most part, won't be too accurate. Anything after like 2018 or 2019, what year is it? It's August, for crying out loud. Sure, like 2019 is gonna be for the most part accurate because I can remember that, but books that I've read prior to that are going to be kind of my best guess based on my Amazon shopping history, or when I remember reading them, or events in my life that I remember happening concurrent with the time I was reading them. But I just kind of want to go through and organize them, and I've never been an organizer before, but something about Goodreads has sparked this interest in me. So I'm going to be going through all of these books and adding them to my Goodreads profile, and then I'm going to be adding them to shelves based on books that I've read and books I want to read that I haven't read yet, because I have a feeling there's going to be an embarrassing number of books that I haven't read on these shelves. And yeah, basically go through all of that. So without further ado, because I feel like this is going to take forever, let's just get into it. Okay, so I just want to point out that I just finished doing my biblical fiction section, which is my largest section, I believe, of books that I have. I'm pretty sure I have the most biblical fiction out of anything, but we'll see because I'm about to get to the historical. And I know my biblical fiction stack compared to my historical stack is very similar. I have scanned 78 biblical fiction books, which is a lot of books. Okay, so breaking news, I have scanned 100 books and I was about to scan this stack, but apparently the app has a limit and it only lets you scan 100 books at a time. So I'm going to have to go through and then make sure, like if I have read them, just delete them from the queue if I've already reviewed them on Goodreads. And then for all the others that I haven't, I'm going to have to add those to my need to organize shelf. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm also going to take a break and eat lunch while I do that because it is 1:15 and I haven't eaten lunch yet. So that's something I'm going to do, and then I will come back and I will finish out historical. I'm halfway through my historical books, and then I just have contemporary and YA, which is just these 3 shelves right here. So I think I'm about roughly halfway done with the actual scanning because I've already done basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shelves, and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves left to go. And these 2, I would really only count them as 1 since neither of them are completely full because that's all the contemporary that I have. So I'm going to take a break now, scan or add some of those books to shelves, very quickly organize them from my phone, let my phone charge a little bit because it's actually dying, and eat some lunch, and then I will come back and finish out the organizing soon. So I'm back. I just ate lunch. I finished out historical while my phone was plugged in over there. So I was over there and I couldn't turn the camera around, so I didn't film the rest of historical. But in addition to the 100 books that I already scanned, so I don't know how many that is, I also scanned 52 extra historical books. So I think I said I had like, what, 78 out of those first 100 were biblical fiction. So 100 minus 78 is 22 plus 52 because that's how many I scanned. So that's like 74 historical titles. So I think I have about the same amount of historical as well as biblical. So I have several multiples in biblical fiction as well as several multiples in historical fiction. For example, I have 2 copies of The Mark of the Lion by Francine Rivers in biblical fiction, and then I also have 3 copies of Not My Will and 4 copies of of Redeeming Love in my historical section. So total, I probably have more physical copies of books in historical fiction than I do in biblical fiction, but like in terms of like actual book titles, I think I have more in biblical fiction, just a hair though. I am going to finish scanning all of these contemporary and then these YA books. I'm going to move this out of the way, and then I'm going to start doing work on my computer. So oh, this is a lot. Alright, so I'm about to scan the last book in my entire Christian fiction collection, and I just thought we needed to make a ceremonial moment out of it. So, without further ado, and the reason that this one wasn't with the others is because I'm currently reading it, so I had to go get it from another part of the house. But, without further ado, let us scan the last book. Okay, I'm done. So that was 195 books that in total that I scanned. Not necessarily that many that I have read or that I haven't read, because like I said, a lot of these were already, I've already like categorized them and everything. So for a lot of these, I'm just going to be removing them from the queue. And like I said, deleting the ones that already say read, like Romanoff. I've already read that, so that should already be categorized. And then I'll go on my computer and I'll start organizing them. Okay, so total I have 133 books that I now need to categorize as either books I have read or books I don't think I'll ever read, because I think I'm going to create a shelf of books I didn't finish or books I don't anticipate reading for like the foreseeable future, to distinguish between like want to read and like maybe we'll read someday but is not a priority right now. 133 books that I need to organize is a lot, and total I've marked 165 books now as want to read, and I've only read 72, which I know I've read more than that. It's just a matter of going through, like I said, and organizing them. But now all I need to do is to go onto my computer and start organizing those and figure out, you know, which ones I have read based on Amazon history, based on my blog history, and all of that interesting stuff, and YouTube videos, because I post reviews on YouTube as well. So this is just a lesson to me in the future to be far more organized about this, as opposed to not. Now 4:30 and I have finally finished categorizing all the books on my shelves. And from this experiment, I've discovered that I have read about half the books on my shelf, and then half the books, or a little bit less than half, I think, are books that I haven't read, which is slightly embarrassing, but I'm not exactly mad at that. And the reason being is because I've had a lot of books given to me, and plus I also last year spent a lot of time reviewing for publishers, so there were a lot of books that I personally bought that I never got around to reading because I was busy reviewing for publishers. I've taken a break from reviewing for publishers as much. I still review for authors if they ask me, or if there's a street team that I want to apply for, but because of how crazy things have gotten with college and school and my senior year and everything, I've decided to step back from reviewing for publishers. And from now on, this is something I've been kind of doing for a while now, since I think around May, but from now on, I'm only reviewing books that I read as I read them and books that I want to read, because I just no longer have the time to juggle reviewing personally and reviewing for publishers and writing my book and making content for you guys. So that's kind of where I am at personally when it comes to reading. And I'll probably go through my Goodreads want to read list as well, because I have about 100 books labeled like want to read right now. And most of those are books that I added from my shelves, but I'm probably gonna go through and take off all the ones that I just don't think I'll ever get around to reading, and all the ones that I DNF'd or did not finish. If you don't know what that term means, I did find it interesting that I own over 200 Christian fiction books. By my calculations, those numbers could be slightly off because some books that I added are digital or ebooks, but I own somewhere in the ballpark of like 200 Christian fiction books, which is pretty amazing to me. So now I have over 200 books on my Goodreads profile, and that's both want to read, and then I have about like 100 books that I've actually read, which is pretty insane to me, and I think that's a lot of books, and that's just from the last couple of years. I only really started reading Christian fiction towards the end of 2015, so I would really more say like I started reading it religiously in 2016, which is 2016, 2017, 2018, and now we're almost through 2019. 100 books in 4 years, in my opinion, is actually kind of impressive. Man, total, I think this experiment, I started this at around like 12:30 and it's now 4:30, and this took me 4 hours just to add dates read to all the books that I've read on my shelf. At some point later, I'm gonna go through and clean up my Goodreads TBR because it is kind of overwhelming to look at. So I'll probably take a lot of the books that I scanned today off of Goodreads just because I don't want them on my TBR right now, because I don't anticipate reading them anytime soon, and I kind of want to prioritize my TBR, if you will, because there's a lot of biblical fiction books that I really want to read, and that's priority for me, is pretty much always biblical fiction. I never want to get rid of books because I never know if I will eventually change my mind and feel like reading the books, but there are a few that maybe I could donate some like arcs that I don't think I'll ever get around to finishing, or maybe some duplicate copies of some books that I don't think I'll ever get around finishing. There's a lot of like Amish books and stuff that I was sent that I don't really read and probably could get rid of, so I'll probably go through that. And my mom also reads a lot, so she might want some of these as well, so it's not really like they'll be leaving me, they'll be next door. They'll be down the road a bit in my mom's house basically. So yeah, I really thought it was fun. I thought it was a neat challenge, and I actually think I want to challenge everyone to try and do this challenge. So if you haven't put all of your books on Goodreads, I highly recommend that you do, because it's kind of interesting just when you look back and start scrolling back to seeing like, wow, I had a huge explosion of biblical fiction books in my Goodreads when in 2015, 2016, I read a ton of biblical fiction then. Or, oh, it's interesting because in 2015, it looks like I was really into historical and 1800 stuff. It's cool to see those kind of trends when you look back. So if you haven't done this, I challenge you to do it. I started out today with 107 books on my Goodreads profile. I currently have 224. Like I said, that number could go down drastically as I edit my TBR. If you have done a video like this, or you want to do a video like this, then please message me with the link when you post the video, because I would love to watch someone else struggle to add all of their books to Goodreads, because honestly that was a lot of time staring at my computer. If you like this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up if you want to see more content like this, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you never miss a new video every single time that I post. My name is Jenna Van Mourik. I'm an inspired writer and an inspirational fiction reader who reads, writes, and lives for Jesus. I make bookish videos, book reviews, and all kinds of writing related videos like writing vlogs, writing tips, writing advice, writing updates for my own biblical fiction WIP, and I post all of those here to YouTube, as well as to my other social media links listed here. I'm on Instagram pretty much every single day. I'm here on YouTube about once a week if I can manage it with school, like I said. And of course, I'm active on all my other social media platforms, my blog, my website, all that kind of stuff. I also have a book club. I host a quarterly book club on Goodreads. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, it's called the Biblical Fiction Buffs, and if you want to join that book club, then go ahead. The link is in the description below. All the links to everything are in the description below, so make sure you go and check out all of those things and all of that information, because there is a lot of helpful stuff down there. Once again, my name is Jenna Van Mourik. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!